Hello and welcome to this managerial accounting video where we are going to work on exercise 9.8 from your textbook, which teaches us how to calculate net present value. Net present value is a very useful concept when we're doing capital budgeting and making capital budget decisions. All right, so you're going to be looking at your handout that goes with this, and your handout will show all of the information that's on your screen. So what we're doing is we're going back to exercise 9.2, and hopefully you just watched that video. And in exercise 9.2, we identified all of the cash flows, inflows and outflows, and when they were going to occur. So that is the basis of what we're going to do now. So if you have not done that, you should go back to exercise 9.2, watch that video so that you understand what our inflows and our outflows are. All right, so we want to calculate net present value. Down here, I put our formula for net present value. Remember, net present value is present value of the inflows minus present value of the outflows. So we're going to take a look at each of these numbers, decide whether they're inflows or outflows, and then we'll add them all up and find our net present value. All right, so the first thing that we're going to take a look at is the cost of the new machine. Remember, we said the cost of the new machine is an outflow in year 0, which means it happens right now. So that's going to be $150,000, and we don't have to do anything to that because that's happening right now. So I'm actually going to put that $150,000 in both places since we have to do this at 10%, and then later it asks us to do it at 14%. Okay, next is the installation, which also happens in year 0, so right away that happens. So we're going to put that in both places again. So the total outflows related to the purchase are going to be $153,000. Next thing that happens is we're going to get salvage value after 10 years. So remember, we said that's going to be an inflow in year 10, requiring us to use the present value of a dollar concept. So now we're going to take the $4,000, okay, so let's say this is going to be equal to 4,000, our salvage value, times the present value factor for 10 years at 10%. So we're going to come down here. I put all the factors here for us. 10 years at 10% is that. We multiply those and we get 1,542. All right. And let's continue the 10% and then we'll go back to the 14%. Okay, so the variable cost savings to operate the new machine, $25,000 every year. And we had said before, this is going to be a present value of an annuity because it happens every year. So the present value of getting $25,000 every year for the next 10 years is equal to 25,000 times the present value of an annuity, 10%, 10 periods. Okay, so that comes out to 153,615. Okay, the overhaul of the old machine that we don't have to do, we had identified as an inflow. So the present value of that is going to be equal to the 10,000 times the present value factor. This is going to happen in 3 years and it's at 10%. So we'll multiply those two. That gives us 7,513. And finally, in the first year, we are going to get $12,000 for the machine that we're selling. Okay. All right, so now we're going to add up the present value of all of our inflows. So let's say this is equal to, our inflows are this, plus this, plus this, plus that. So we have 4 inflows. Add them up. Present value of the outflows, the 150,000 plus the 3,000. Those are all of our outflows. Okay, so that means our net present value is equal to our inflows minus our outflows, 21,670. Okay, so the question is, do you recommend that Burger Botanicals purchases the new machine? And the answer is yes. Yes, we're going to purchase the machine in this case. And the reason is net present value is positive. Okay? Anytime net present value is positive, that means that the return is greater than our required return. And our discount rate is 10%. That's our required rate of return. Okay, so let's do this again for 14%. So our salvage value after 10 years is going to be equal to the 4,000 times the present value factor for 10 years at 14%. We'll do times. And that gives us 107880. Next, the variable cost savings is going to be equal to 25,000 times, remember this is an annuity, present value of an annuity, 14% for 10 periods. So that's going to give us the 130. Our machine will be equal to 10,000 times net present value of 14%. The n is 3, so that's going to be that. Oops, I did that wrong. That's equal to 10,000 times that. Okay, 6750. And then finally, the market value of the old machine stays the same. Okay. All right, so I'm going to just carry this over because we're going to add up the same numbers as we did before. And we're going to subtract the same numbers as we did before. And our formula is the same. However, what we find out when we use 14% is that our net present value is negative. All right, so when our net present value is negative, we're going to choose not to purchase the machine. So the answer is going to be no, and the reason is net present value is negative. Okay, if it's negative, what that means is the return is less than our required return. Our required return in this case is 14%. So we know that the actual return, if we calculated the internal rate of return, it would be somewhere between 10 and 14 because we know it's higher than 10 and it's less than 14. Okay? Remember that if it's exactly 0, then your return is the same as your discount rate. Okay, so that's the end of this exercise. I hope you find it useful in your studies.